Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marnice Nicole and I'm an acrylic painter, and this is a corner of my art studio. And it's been a minute since I've been sitting in this spot because I've been in a almost half a year long art slump that has progressively gotten worse. But luckily, I think I've made a breakthrough, so we're gonna hop right in and talk about how this painting right here kind of took me out of my art funk. So if you've noticed, if you've been here a while, I haven't really been producing that many videos. I haven't really been finishing a lot of paintings. I spent actually the first 4 or 5 months of the year working on Forbidden Fruit, but you can kind of see up here in the corner, but like this is the thing. And that was a massive painting for me. It was so evolved, and while it did spend quite a lot of time just sitting on my easel, staring at me accusingly, just not getting done, I needed that time to kind of work through what I wanted the final concept to paint with. And I finally got there, so you know, success, hooray, yay. But usually the next step for me after a very long painting is a very short painting process. I kind of hop in between like these long, larger than life concepts and then these quick, almost like bursts of painting inspirations that can be done and accomplished and just fully visualized within like 2 or 3 hours. Like, I've always been that way. I prefer to work on large scale canvases and build out and spread out these massive ideas, but I really need like the burst of endorphins that comes from finishing a piece in one day. And like the last couple of months, I haven't been painting. I've started multiple canvases that you would have seen in my mid-year check-in. Like, I've started multiple projects that I have not finished. I start the idea only to move away from it. Actually, since that last video, I actually started another canvas that I have not finished. I need to like finalize in painting in this girl. I'm not sure if I really like the concept anymore, but it's something again that I started and I didn't finish because I've been like struggling on a high cliff of art struggle and anxiety when it comes to painting. Something has not been working, and I noticed it while I was working on this piece right here. This piece that I started from this nice burst of like energy once I saw this TikTok. Well, that was lovely and I'm inspired, and so I'm making a painting based off of you. And I was like, oh, I want to paint that. But then the struggling happened and the art slump just began in full force. I saw the girl and I really wanted to capture her hand movements. It really inspired me, but I just feel like I cannot paint it. And it's crazy because when you look around my art studio, you see so many things that I've painted for the first time, but I always struggle with doubt and struggle with like fear of painting something that I have never painted before. And like me trying to paint hands when I don't have any background in figure drawing, I suck at it. I try to avoid it whenever possible, and it's just annoying. It's just annoying because I've painted people before, and yet every time I go to paint another person, it's just a struggle. And I kept repainting her because I do not like her body proportions and I don't like her hands specifically, which I feel like is the whole point of this piece. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to force myself to finish this painting. And so that is where the advice comes in. I've learned the hard way that forcing yourself to finish a piece is one of the surefire ways to make you inevitably get into a full-blown art slump and not finish the painting or create anything new. And that can easily turn like some creative lows into a full-blown, years-long epidemic of painting slumps. And so with this painting in mind, the thing that I did that helped me move on to this next painting that I'm going to talk about in just a quick second was I looked at this realistically and I said, what do I actually like about this painting? There's so much I don't like about it, and it's been the thing that I've been focusing on. I don't like this. I don't want to work on this. I don't want to redo this. And it's giving me anxiety. It's frustrating me. And I was just getting in my head wrapped around that concept. But I was like, you know what? Stop. Take a minute, pause. What do you actually like about this painting? You've already said you don't like the figure. Okay, we get it. And this is a painting where I've been playing around with the concept of my shadow figures. I did this painting, my black opera painting. I talk about it so much, but it is a good reference for where my art style is now. And in that painting, it was the first time I played with these shadow figures, and I love them. So I tried to incorporate them again in this space. So I have this shadow figure here, this one here, this one here. And I'm like, I don't really like them how they are in this either. And I want to finish this painting, but trying to force myself to work on this was just going to make me just go into a never-ending slump. I wasn't going to end up painting again for the rest of the year if I would have kept going in that direction. So I was like, what about this do I like? And oddly enough, the most background part of this is the audience chairs in the stadium. But I actually really love that part. If you can see close up, we have just a bunch of stairs leading into a kind of corner view of an auditorium. There are some stairs over there and people sitting in those seats. And I was like, I like the chairs. I like the chairs. I like that element. If I repainted this over, which I might do, and gessoed all over it, the one thing I would immediately bring back are the chairs. I like them. It's such an odd thing to focus on. I kind of like the exit sign. Have this idea for it to kind of make it like neon green and make it illuminating and just kind of make it dark in some kind of way. And I always love green in all of my work, so that would have been a way to incorporate it. And I like the ceiling a little bit. I kind of like the highlighted area, but like I could throw away all of those pieces. The one thing I would keep are these damn chairs. And I'm like, what about it do I like? I like the emptiness of the chairs that don't have the shadow figures in them. I like that. I like the color palette. Normally I very much work in warm tones, but this color palette completely is so different from what I normally work in. And I'll show you some examples. So I just took a bunch of paintings down, but here are some examples of what I mean. So this painting, very much where I stayed true to the yellows, the reds, the tans, all of the warm tone browns, the reds. This is a Paris scene that I did. This is one of the first paintings that I ever did that kind of introduced me to my own style. Like this is where I was like, oh, this is who I am as an artist. And look at it. Even though there are some blues in the background, it is mostly a very warm, focused painting. And here's another painting that I did where I used very similar colors. However, the main character, the main focus is again in warm tones. I love a warm tone palette. And then the coolness I use for the shadows and to kind of, you know, make the background environment, but it's never a full focus of it. I end up painting things like this, where again, this is a cool tone green, a muted green from the Liquitex collection, if I'm not mistaken. And yet this is a very warm environment, like the background window, the reds in the curtains. It still gives off a much needed warmth, I think, because the figure is the center point and her skin tone alone just kind of brings the vibration that I feel like you get with the warm tone colors. And so color palette wise, even though I may use a cool toned color every once in a while, it's never really the main focus. But in this painting, I like the chairs. I like the cool toneness of it, and I wanted to play with that. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start from scratch. I took a very old canvas and we started with this painting. Now, I thought it was finished until I stepped away from it for a day, and there are a few things I want to play with and fix, but this is essentially finished. So this right here is where I kind of went from there. I have the cool toneness in the chairs, and in the texture. And even the girl, I really blended her into the background. She has a navy blue dress on. She has one pop of my signature red that I always have in any type of painting. But the majority of everything in this palette is cool tone. And then we have the chairs. And because I didn't like the shadow figures in the chairs, I wanted to really think about, okay, well, the emptiness of the chairs. If we're conceptualizing this, then we could think about all of the time in 2020 where no stadiums were full, everyone was stuck at home. She's alone enjoying a margarita. There seems to always end up being wine of some kind in my paintings, or alcohol, because I love a good glass. But she's sad, she's looking off to the side, and she's by herself. And we have some yellows here for the like seating armrest, but other than that, there is a distinct lack of like multitudes of color, which I am known for. I am the color girl. And this painting right here, Forbidden Fruit, show it off here. That is a painting that has an obnoxious amount of colors. I use over 30 tubes of paint to get all of the different dimensions and all of the different things that are all within this painting right here. But here, I barely have more than 5 tubes that I'm using, and most of them are blues and like some paints and stuff. So there's that. And the figure, I'm really proud of the figure because I've never painted a girl like this. I've painted a lot of women in chairs, actually. This piece right here is the first piece that I ever sold as part of like an art raffle. People bought art tickets for it. It was just fun thing to do. And I painted her in a chair. And then I have this chair painting, and all of my figures seem to always be sad with their face to the side or down or not making direct eye contact, and they always seem to be in chairs for some reason. So that's interesting, like little notice of my artwork. But here, she's dressed up. She's clearly going out on the town to have fun, but yet she's alone. She's not happy about being alone. I could have easily painted this figure smiling and exuberant and clapping at something off screen, but she's just sad by herself. Elegant, stretched out, you know, but still alone and unhappy to be so. So that's an interesting concept there. And then I really like the lights that I added, because if you go in a movie theater or somewhere, they always have these little hazard lights that go up the lines, and they're there to protect you so that you don't fall. And I thought it was important to include those, and I don't know why. If I think deep down, I feel like that little light is somehow like, I don't want to get pretentious, but I really thought that like these little hazard lights were important. So that kind of gets into the things that I want to change about this piece. First off, right now, the lights are not really even. I really took the time to get into painting this without anything. Like, I didn't take out my rulers. I didn't focus on concept. I didn't sketch anything out beforehand. I literally just dived into making little marks and seeing what I wanted to do with it without a reference, without anything, until I put the girl in and I was like, I need help figuring out what kind of pose this should be. So I found a reference for that. But otherwise, I just dived into this and I was like, oh gosh, this is coming out nice. The things that I like are the different size chairs. Like at one point I was just making little swirls to do each individual chair, and then I realized I wanted to put a character in somewhere. I gave her her own row. So this row stands out because one, it's square, and unlike most of the chairs, these are like maroon and they're cool tone and everything like that. And then in the back I tried to do these kind of chairs, but I need to fix this like dark shadow. I didn't even notice it because it was still kind of wet, but now I noticed that this is darker than everything else, and I either need to commit to putting all of these in shadow in the back top row, or just fixing it and giving it a good color palette so that it blends in more seamlessly, because that's like really stark difference. And then these little hazard lights over the side, they need to just be tweaked a little bit, They need more like definition over the ones that are closer to the camera. And then what else do I want to fix? Oh, her straw. I want to give her straw in the margarita glass. I want to put some ice in the glass, and I want the straw to really feel like striped like a regular straw would. So I'm going to add those little details. I didn't think about these things while I was painting it because I was trying so hard not to get into like an art slump and stop painting. I really wanted this to just be done and just do whatever the hell I thought about while I was painting and not worry about like finishings or anything like that. So I painted this in 2.5 hours. But even after that, I feel like this was a breakthrough for me because I didn't force myself to work on the other piece. And so when you're dealing with an art slump, I think the best advice I can give you is to try different things. I felt the art slump coming on for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm like, oh no, I have to stay creative or this is going to be another year of me not painting. And I did that by playing in my sketchbook, using different mediums. I've done so much marker illustrations lately. It's just beyond reason that I'm almost finished with my sketchbook. I only have, let's see, this much left. And I've been working in the sketchbook for almost 2 years now, I think. And I've even gone back and corrected some paintings that I just kind of half-assed. So I went back and really defined this piece that was originally just some hazard pencil sketches, and I went and put some gouache over it. And then I've been doing really fun things that just I would never really do. Like I did this. I did this. Like, what is this? But I wanted to play around with like inks and acrylics, and then I added some gold leaf, and so you come up with this, which is cool. And either way, the fact that I'm almost finished with the sketchbook is definitely a plus. So definitely trying new things, doing things weird out of your comfort zone, or just when you have an idea, even if it's going to be fleeting, taking the time to work on it without any restrictions. The main problem I was having is that I was continuing to work on a piece that was giving me just anxiety. I didn't want to finish it. I didn't want to work on it and have to redo something. I knew I was in my head about it. And so being able to step away from it finally and just be like, you know what, I'm going to work on something later. And it works. And then I end up with something like this. So anyway, if you are having or experiencing an art slump and you have some tips, definitely add those in the comments because I'm definitely going to need more help. I know I'm not over the hurdle yet and I have all of these pieces I want to work on, and I hope that I can keep moving forward and having the energy and like the focus to paint something new. I'm going to finish those like minor details on this that I've been talking about and call this one finished, but otherwise hope I can get into some new paintings soon and finish some of the time lapses I've been recording for months. So my name is Marnice Nicole. I'm an acrylic painter and I'm out. Bye.